Give your worries to God. Stop playing God. You're carrying stress like it's your job. Newsflash, it's not. Let go of the illusion that you have to control everything. That's God's job. Fear is a liar. Worry is fear on repeat. It's your brain running worst-case scenarios like a broken record. But here's the truth. 99% of the things you fear never happen. Prayer is your power tool. You wouldn't try to fix your car without a mechanic, right? So why are you trying to fix your life without prayer? Hand it over. God has a plan. Trust it. You don't need all the answers. You just need to take the next step. Even when you can't see the whole staircase, walk in faith. Stop recycling anxiety. Worry is like doing mental laundry without ever pressing start. It just tumbles in your head. Give it to God and let Him handle the spin cycle. You're not alone. You think you're the only one struggling? Nope. We're all going through something. But guess what? God never leaves His people hanging. Shift your focus. If you only focus on problems, you'll feel stuck. If you focus on faith, you'll feel peace. It's that simple. God is bigger than your problems. I don't care how impossible it looks. Your anxiety, your fears, God can handle them. So stop acting like He can't. Raised, stress for gratitude. Worry steals energy. Gratitude gives it back. Every time you stress, swap it with one thing you're grateful for. It'll change everything. Let go, move forward. You've been holding on to that fear way too long. It's time to surrender. Open your hands, let go, and move forward with faith. Now go out there and live like God's got you, because He does. Drop your worries at His feet and step into your peace. You wake up already overwhelmed. Your mind is racing before your feet even hit the floor. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? You're mentally running through a to-do list that never ends. And deep down, you feel this weight, this crushing pressure to figure everything out, to fix it, to control it. But let's be real, you're exhausted. Here's the truth no one tells you. You're not in charge of the universe. You're not the CEO of every outcome. You're not responsible for carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But you're acting like you are, and it's suffocating you. You're trying to micromanage every detail, predict every twist, and hold on so tight that your own grip is strangling your peace. The reason you feel so drained, you're doing a job that was never yours to do. You're spending your energy trying to control things that are out of your control. You think if you just plan enough, worry enough, or stress enough, you'll somehow keep everything from falling apart. But let's be honest. Has that ever worked? It's time to drop the illusion that you have to be the one holding everything together. You don't. That's God's job. And guess what? He's really good at it. He's been running the universe just fine before you got here, and He'll keep running it long after you stop stressing. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting. It means understanding that your job isn't to control the outcome. It's to take the next step in faith. And faith isn't about knowing how it all works out. It's about believing that even when you don't see the full picture, God does. Worrying doesn't prevent disaster. It just prevents peace. You think you're protecting yourself by overthinking everything, but all you're doing is draining yourself. What if, instead of gripping so tight, you loosened your hold and let God take over? What if you actually allowed yourself to breathe? Look at your life. How much time have you wasted replaying the same fears over and over? How much energy have you burned trying to fix things that weren't yours to fix? And how much of your joy has been stolen because you refuse to believe that you're allowed to rest? You don't have to know the outcome. You don't have to have every answer. Your only job is to trust the one who does, because the second you stop trying to control everything is the second you finally feel free. You weren't built to carry all this alone. So stop, let go, step back, and watch what happens when you stop trying to be God and start letting Him do His job. Your brain is a master storyteller, but it's terrible at predicting the future. Every single day it runs these horror movie scenarios, convincing you that disaster is just around the corner. You overthink, you panic, and you start believing every worst-case scenario like it's already happening. But let's get real. How many of those fears have actually come true? Fear is the biggest scam artist of all time. It whispers lies in your ear, makes you doubt yourself, and turns tiny problems into massive mountains. And the worst part? You believe it. You let it sit in the driver's seat of your life, steering you away from risks, opportunities, and peace. And for what? A bunch of what ifs that never even happen? Let's do the math. Think back to the last 5 times you spiraled into worry. You lost sleep, felt sick to your stomach, and braced yourself for the worst. But did the worst actually happen? Exactly. You wasted all that energy on a story that never even played out. And even if something did go wrong, was it as bad as you imagined? Probably not. Fear isn't protecting you. It's paralyzing you. It keeps you stuck, second-guessing yourself, afraid to take the next step. It convinces you that uncertainty means danger, when in reality, uncertainty is just life. You don't need to know every detail of what's ahead. You just need to know that you'll handle it when you get there. Your mind is powerful. It can either work for you or against you. When fear creeps in, you have 2 choices. Let it control you or call it out for what it is. A liar. Because that's exactly what it is. Fear thrives on exaggeration. It twists the truth, feeds off your insecurities, and keeps you running in circles. But the moment you question it, it loses its grip. Here's the reality check you need. You've already survived 100% of your hardest days. You've faced challenges before, and you came out stronger. You've handled things you never thought you could. And guess what? You'll do it again, because you are stronger than fear. The next time worry tries to hijack your mind, don't entertain it. Don't let it move in, rearrange your furniture, and make itself comfortable. Call it what it is. A lie, a story, a trick your brain is playing on you. And then choose something different. Choose faith. Choose action. Choose truth. Because the truth is you are capable, you are resilient, and fear is just noise. And the second you stop listening, you take your power back. You wouldn't grab a wrench and start tearing apart your car's engine if you had no idea what you were doing, right? You take it to a mechanic, someone who actually knows how to fix it. So why on earth are you trying to fix your life without prayer? Why are you acting like you have to figure everything out on your own when you have direct access to the one who already has the answers? Prayer isn't just some last-ditch effort when everything falls apart. It's not a backup plan. It's not a weak move. It is power. It's the difference between carrying a weight that breaks you and handing it to the only one strong enough to hold it. Some of you are walking around exhausted, anxious, stressed to the max, and wondering why life feels so heavy. Here's why. You're not praying, you're thinking and obsessing, but you're not actually giving it to God. You're trying to control everything with your own strength, and it's running you into the ground. Listen, you don't need to have the perfect words. You don't need a script. You don't even need to have it all together. You just need to talk to God, just like you'd call a friend when you're overwhelmed, just like you'd ask for help when you need it. Because that's what prayer is, connection. The most powerful thing you can do when you're drowning in stress is stop and pray. Right then, right there. Before you send the panicked text, before you make the frantic decision, before you let fear take over, pause, hand it over. Say, God, I can't do this alone. Because guess what? You were never supposed to. Prayer shifts your focus. It takes your eyes off the problem and puts them on the one who is bigger than the problem. It reminds you that you're not alone, that you're not stuck, that no situation is too far gone for God to step in and turn it around. You don't have to know how he's going to do it. You don't have to figure out every step. Your job isn't to have all the answers. Your job is to trust the one who does. And that starts with prayer. So stop waiting until you've hit rock bottom to reach out. Stop treating prayer like an emergency exit. Make it your first move, not your last resort, because the second you stop trying to carry it all on your own and start handing it over, everything shifts. The peace comes in, the clarity comes in, the strength you didn't even know you had, it comes in. Your life is not yours to fix alone. You've got the ultimate mechanic, the best strategist, the strongest protector in your corner. Use the power tool you've been given. Pray. Hand it over. And watch what happens when you stop trying to do it all alone. Right now, you're stressed because you don't have all the answers. You want the full blueprint, the entire roadmap, every single detail laid out before you take a step. But let's be real, that's never how life works. And deep down, you know it. You don't need to see the whole plan. You just need to trust that God has one. That's the hard part, right? The waiting, the uncertainty, the not knowing what's next. But faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about moving forward anyway. It's about trusting that even when life feels like a chaotic mess, God is still in control. Think about this. When you drive at night, your headlights don't illuminate the entire road. They just show you a few feet ahead. But you keep driving. You don't pull over and panic just because you can't see all the way to your destination. You trust that as you move forward, the next few feet will be revealed. That's exactly how faith works. Some of you are stuck right now, paralyzed by fear because you don't have clarity. You're waiting for a sign, waiting for everything to make sense before you take action. But faith doesn't work like that. You don't get to see step 10 before you take step 1. You don't get all the details up front. What you do get is a choice. Stay frozen in fear or step forward in trust. And let's be real. How many times in your life has something seemed confusing, painful, or unfair in the moment, but later you look back and it all made sense? That's proof that God's plan was at work all along, even when you didn't see it, even when you didn't understand it. God is not asking you to have it all figured out. He's not expecting you to control every detail. He's just asking you to trust him enough to take the next step. Not the next 10, just the next 1. Fear wants you to believe that if you don't have all the answers, you'll fail. But faith says, keep walking. God's got you. Fear says, what if it all falls apart? Faith says, what if it all falls into place? So today, stop overanalyzing. Stop stressing over what you can't see. Just move forward with what you do know. God is for you. He is leading you. And his plan is always, always better than yours. Take the next step, even if it's small, even if you're scared, because the staircase is there. And the more you trust, the more you'll realize you are never walking alone. Your brain is running the same anxious thoughts over and over again, like a dryer stuck on an endless spin cycle. You're not solving anything. You're not making progress. You're just exhausting yourself. And for what? Another round of what ifs that lead nowhere? Worry tricks you into thinking you're being productive. It makes you feel like if you stress enough, you'll somehow prevent bad things from happening. But let's be real. That's never worked. Worry doesn't fix problems. It just drains the energy you need to actually handle them. It's like you keep loading the washing machine with the same pile of dirty clothes, but never press start. The anxiety just tumbles in your head round and round, getting you nowhere. Meanwhile, God is standing right there saying, hand it to me. Let me take care of it. But you won't let go. You're too busy clutching your pile of stress like it's your job. Here's the truth. Anxiety isn't something you manage. It's something you surrender. It's a weight you were never meant to carry. And when you finally release it, when you finally say, God, I trust you with this, that's when peace moves in. But you have to actually give it to him. Not just for a few minutes before you snatch it back and start overthinking again. Not just on Sundays when you feel inspired, only to pick the worry back up on Monday morning. Fully surrender it. Trust that God is handling the spin cycle even when you can't see it. God isn't asking you to ignore your problems. He's asking you to stop obsessing over them like you're the only one who can fix them. You're not. And that's a good thing. Because the second you let go, the second you say, I don't have to carry this alone, everything shifts. Think about all the times in your life when you worried for nothing. The times when you lost sleep, stressed yourself sick, and replayed worst-case scenarios in your head, only for it to work out in the end. That wasn't luck. That was God. That was proof that he had it handled all along. So why are you still recycling the same fear? Why are you still living in the same cycle of stress? It's time to break free. It's time to press stop. The laundry is done. The load is handled. Now step back and let God do what only he can do. Right now, you feel like you're the only one struggling, the only one feeling stuck, the only one drowning in doubt, stress, or fear. But let me hit you with some truth. You are not alone. Not even close. Look around. Every single person you see is carrying something. A battle you don't see. A fear they don't talk about. A weight that's been sitting on their chest for way too long. You are not the only one who feels lost sometimes. You are not the only one who questions if you're strong enough to keep going. But here's what you need to know. God sees you right now, in the middle of your mess, in the middle of your doubts, in the middle of that voice in your head telling you you're not enough. And he's not leaving you. He never has, and he never will. That lie that says you have to handle this on your own, throw it out. That idea that you're somehow too much or not enough for God to show up for you, gone. Because here's the truth. God never leaves his people hanging. When you feel like you're falling apart, he's holding you together. When you feel forgotten, he's already working things out behind the scenes. When you think you have no one to turn to, he's right there saying, I've been here all along. You weren't meant to do life alone. You weren't meant to carry every burden by yourself. So stop isolating yourself in your struggle. Stop believing the lie that no one understands. Stop thinking you have to fix everything before you can go to God. He wants you now, as you are, in your struggle, in your doubt, in your weakness. And the best part, God isn't just with you, he's fighting for you. He's moving in ways you can't see. He's making a way where you don't even know one exists. Just because you feel alone doesn't mean you are alone. So remind yourself of this every single day. God's got me, he's never left me, and he's not about to start now. Because no matter what you're facing, you don't face it alone. Right now, your focus is running the show, and if all you ever do is focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what's broken, what could go wrong, you'll stay stuck in that mindset. You'll keep feeding the anxiety, the fear, the stress. But what if you flipped the script? What if, instead of focusing on the problem, you focused on the one who can actually do something about it? Your mind is powerful. What you choose to focus on determines how you feel, how you act, and how you show up in your own life. If you obsess over everything that's out of your control, of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed. But if you shift your focus to faith, to God's promises, to what's possible instead of what's wrong, that's when peace moves in. Think about it. When Peter walked on water, he was fine until he focused on the storm. The wind, the waves, the chaos, it distracted him. It pulled him under. But Jesus was right there reaching out, saying, "Why did you doubt?" That's what happens when we focus more on the storm than the one who can calm it. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is what you're magnifying. Are you magnifying your fears or are you magnifying your faith? Are you replaying worst case scenarios or are you reminding yourself that God has never failed you? This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about shifting how you respond to it. When you make the choice to focus on faith, on what's good, on what's true, on what God can do, you start to feel peace, even in the middle of the chaos. Because peace doesn't come from everything being perfect. It comes from knowing you're not in this alone. So catch yourself. The next time you start spiraling into worry, stop and ask, what am I focusing on right now? Is it fear or faith? The problem or the possibility? The storm or the savior? Shift your focus and you shift your whole life. I don't care how bad it looks. I don't care how impossible it feels. Your problems, your fears, your anxiety, God can handle them. So stop acting like he can't. You're walking around carrying the weight of the world like it's all on you, like you have to figure everything out by yourself. And in the process, you're making your problems look huge and making God look small. But let's be real. Hasn't he come through for you before? Hasn't he made a way when you thought there was none? Exactly. So why are you doubting him now? Your problems might feel overwhelming, but they are not bigger than God. Not even close. He's the one who created the universe, who spoke life into existence, who has conquered everything that could ever stand against you. And you think your situation is too much for him? Come on. Look, I get it. Fear is loud. Anxiety is convincing. It makes you think your problems are permanent, that there's no way out. But that's a lie. It's always been a lie because God doesn't just see your struggles. He already has the solution. He's not panicked. He's not worried. He's not pacing the floors of heaven trying to figure out how to help you. He's already got it handled. The real question is, do you believe that? Do you trust him enough to let go of the panic and lean into peace? Do you trust that even when you don't see a way, he has won? Because that's faith. Faith is knowing that no matter how messy, complicated, or impossible things seem, God is still in control. So stop giving your problems more power than they deserve. Stop acting like your fears get the final say. They don't. God does. And he says, I've got this. Breathe. Release it. Hand it over. And remind yourself of this truth every single day. God is bigger. Always has been. Always will be. Stress drains you. It pulls you into a cycle of overthinking, fear, and frustration. It makes you feel stuck. Like no matter what you do, it's never enough. But here's something you need to know. You can flip the script. You don't have to stay trapped in stress. You can trade it for something that actually fills you up. Gratitude. Worry steals your energy, but gratitude gives it back. Every time your mind starts running a loop of stress about money, your job, your future, whatever, pause. Instead of letting that stress spiral, swap it out for one thing you're grateful for, just one. Because when you shift your focus, you shift your emotions. It's impossible to be consumed by anxiety and focused on gratitude at the same time. Your brain can't do both. The second you start naming what's good, what's working, what you do have, your stress starts losing its grip. Think about it. How many times have you stressed over something that, looking back, wasn't even worth the energy? And how many times have you been blessed in ways you never saw coming? Exactly. There is always something to be grateful for, even in the middle of the mess, even when life feels hard, especially when life feels hard. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your problems. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on what's still good, even when things aren't. It means reminding yourself that no matter what, God is still faithful. The next time stress creeps in, stop, take a deep breath, and instead of letting your mind spiral into worry, find the good. Say it out loud. Write it down. Shift your focus. Because the more you practice gratitude, the more peace you'll find. And when peace shows up, stress has no choice but to leave. You've been gripping that fear, that worry, that doubt so tightly, like if you just hold on long enough, you'll somehow figure it all out. But let me be real with you, you won't. Not like this. Not while your hands are full of everything you were never meant to carry. It's time to let go. You've replayed the worst case scenarios. You've overanalyzed every outcome. You've held on to the past, the pain, the what ifs, like they have power over your future. They don't. The only thing they're doing is keeping you stuck. God never asked you to live like this. He didn't create you to carry burdens that only he can handle. But as long as you keep clenching your fists around that fear, he can't fill your hands with something better. That's how faith works. It requires open hands. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you finally trust that God can handle what you can't. It means you surrender, not in defeat, but in freedom. Because the second you release what's weighing you down, you create space for something greater. Fear will tell you to hold on. Faith will tell you to move forward. And deep down, you know which one leads to peace. You know which one leads to life. But you have to make the choice to release the fear, the anxiety, the need for control, and step into what's next. God is already ahead of you. He's already made a way, but you'll never see it if you're too busy looking back, clinging to what's familiar just because it feels safe. Safe isn't always right, and comfort isn't always good. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step forward anyway. So take a deep breath, open your hands, surrender the fear, and walk. You don't need to know exactly where you're going. You just need to trust that God does. And he's leading you somewhere so much better than where you've been. Here's the truth. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. The stress, the fear, the constant overthinking, it's exhausting. And it's not getting you anywhere. You've been gripping your worries so tightly, trying to control things that aren't even yours to control. And for what? More anxiety, More sleepless nights? Enough. It's time to hand it over. Giving your worries to God isn't weakness, it's strength. It's making the bold decision to say, I trust you, God, even when I don't have all the answers. It's choosing faith over fear, surrender over stress. And when you do that, when you really let go, that's when the peace shows up. That's when you stop just surviving and start living. Look back on your life. How many times has God carried you through things you thought you'd never get past? How many moments felt impossible, only for him to work it out in ways you never saw coming? That's proof that he's got you, proof that you don't have to figure it all out because he already has. So today, make the choice. Stop recycling the same fears. Stop magnifying the problems and start magnifying God. Shift your focus. Trade your stress for gratitude. Open your hands, surrender the weight, and step forward in faith. Because if you truly believe that God is in control, then it's time to act like it. This is your moment, right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Take a deep breath, release the worry, and remind yourself, God's got this. He's never let me fall, and he's not about to start now. So let go, move forward, and watch what happens when you finally trust him with everything.